You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good game, Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, and streaming live on Ustream, this is AfterBuzz TV for The Secret Circle. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest Secret Circle news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, picking up where the show leaves off and the buzz continues, it's AfterBuzz TV for The Secret Circle.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody, to your Season 1, Episode 8 after show here at AfterBuzz, entitled Beneath. I am your host for tonight, David Skiffality, and I am joined by my co-hosts, Billy Nellis, who's joined me from week to week.
Yep.
And we have a newcomer, Mia Smith.
Yeah.
Hi.
Welcome. Hopefully you'll be
Thank
joining
you.
us back here
Regularly.
once, you know,
Hopefully.
everything continues. But we had a great episode tonight.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Really intense, I think. Sorry, I made a mess earlier. Like trying to push it to the other side of the
Organize.
desk here. Like there's spilled everything on that. Anyway, let's jump right in.
Yes.
Okay.
And let's start off tonight with Charles and Dawn,
Okay.
whom we've known from the beginning of the season haven't always had the best intentions with the children, or for what we know, they aren't the nicest kids on the block.
No.
And tonight we saw them sort of conspiring again, but in a different way, I think.
Yeah, it was interesting this week with the two of them. And also what struck me as really interesting was it sort of seems like there's some deep distrust between the two of them as
Right.
well.
Yeah.
Which is very evident. And what's odd to me is I felt like for the past couple of weeks we'd been sort of led to believe that it would be Dawn who wouldn't trust Charles, but it seems like it's the other way around now. After what happened with Nick, I think that Charles is really distrustful of Dawn and how far she will go for things.
Right, and it seems like he's sort of flipped the wagon, and now that we've seen that he has the crystal and he was the man who knocked out Grandma last week, that he's going to sort of take the reins now. He's going to be giving the orders, and he isn't going to be sort of the puppy dog to
Right.
Dawn's
Yeah.
master.
Yeah.
I'm actually really interested to see where his character goes. I mean, you know,
Right.
we start off this whole show with him being this killer.
Right.
And then, you know, and then he has these moments where he's heartfelt. You know, he's really torn up about killing the kid. He doesn't want to manipulate his child, really. Like, he still wants to give her, you know,
Right.
let her do her thing.
And he was
it's
even
just-
so protective over where
Yeah.
she was keeping her book.
Right.
He was like, we're not taking it from here. This is where she chooses to protect it, and it stays here. So it was some odd shading
Right.
for
Well,
for the
because up until
character.
this point, if you think about it, he sort of has been following
Dawn.
Dawn and doing what she wants him to do, not necessarily what he wants to do,
Right.
Right.
but what she's told him has to be done
Yeah.
as a means to an end,
You're right.
which was interesting to see a slight hint of humanity in him,
Right.
a little bit more.
Yeah, I think
little bit.
it's playing off of sort of that first glimmer we got when they killed Nick, and he, you know, Dawn made the whole point of, well, you killed Cassie's mom. Why is this any different?
Right.
And he said that was necessary. That was to cause something, but this didn't do anything. This death wasn't necessary for us. This death could have been avoided.
And
So
Nick
I
was a
feel
kid.
like right, and it was a kid, and I feel like we're finding. I think what we're going to come to see, and we've spoken about this so many times, is this ultimate plan that Dawn and Charles have. I don't think is as nefarious as we are sort of been led to believe.
Right.
Because that's how he was able to justify murdering Amelia. And I think that ultimately it seems like we're learning that Charles isn't as bad a guy as we thought. I think he's obviously still not great. He still kills people.
Right.
He isn't
Like,
like the
he's
best.
never
over the head.
he's never gonna be like up for sainthood.
No.
But I think that he's not gonna be when all things are revealed. I don't think he's gonna be the villain that we ultimately have to fear.
I don't know about that.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely not necessarily the huge villain that I'm expecting him to be. But then at the same time, he is sort of covering his tracks when we see that he's gotten rid of Henry's body and he has clubbed Jane over the head and brought her back and erased her memory or changed her memory
Right.
with a spell.
And again, that all was sort of at Dawn's bidding.
Right. But
So
he
it's an interesting.
was the one who chose to follow Jane.
I do.
Wasn't he?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just the two of them. But
Right.
I would agree with you, and the reason being is because you see him step up, right, and confronts Dawn, and he's like, "No, I'm keeping the crystal. I'm the man." Blah blah blah, and then for me, it seemed really like a punk kind of move when he held this whole monologue to knocked out Jane, and it kind of showed a glimmer of an evil side.
That's what I'm saying. Like he might have chosen to be very protective of his book, his family's book, and of his daughter, but he still doesn't have the best intentions
Right.
with Jane.
No, I agree.
Yeah. Okay.
I do. I don't
glad
think he's
we're on the same
I don't think he's never going to be a hero.
No.
But I think that it's not going to be so black and white that he is
Not with him,
ultimate
yeah.
villain either. I think there's going to be
There's definitely a gray area when it comes to
Yeah.
him. And,
Yeah.
and I still think that there is a gray area with Dawn as well.
Right.
But I think she might be on the more cynical side of that area.
Yeah, and I have this feeling that whatever they're trying to do is
Well, ultimately, I think they're trying to get their magic back.
right.
Does it go deeper than that? Like
I
every
feel
time
like
I watch
I feel like
accept.
there is something else there though.
And again, we hear them allude to this Blackwell person
Right.
in
Right.
this episode that we heard them talk about last week, whom we still have no idea who this person is.
I thought that was Cassie's
It's
dad.
Cassie's dad.
We don't know if that's Cassie did. That's what they're making us believe from last week, that it's her father.
Wasn't that what
I thought they said that this is
when the antiquities owner went to Adam's dad? Isn't they said that that's her father? That was.
No, he
And that's
just
where
said
the black
James
magic comes from.
Blackwell.
Are you sure?
They never said that it was her father. We just assumed
Jesse?
it was her father. Where do you weigh in on this topic, Jesse?
I'm sorry, I was looking up some news and gossip for you guys.
Oh, thank
What was the question?
Cassie's dad. Is
Cassie's
that
dad.
what's his name? The Blackwell guy?
Did they confirm that last week? Do you remember that?
I don't, but actually I'll go into this because they didn't like the father, so I'll...
They didn't like the father, that's right. And they did say in this episode that when they were in the kids' hideout, or out of their coven, whatever you want to
They
call
had
it.
the book by Blackwell.
Right. They had the book by Blackwell, and they were talking about, Dawn was talking about how it reminds them of when they started getting together and started fooling around with magic. And he said, yeah, before Blackwell, when everything was still fun.
Right.
So clearly it's someone that they know from their past
Yeah.
and is somehow related to Cassie. But I don't think we're sure if
Yeah,
that's
and those initials were on that. Those
JB, but that's
papers,
also
so-
her grandmother's initials.
Right.
A part
So,
of me
I
really
mean-
feels like it's her dad.
If
for some
anyone's
reason. I think I'm missing
listening and
something.
thinks that they know and
Give
wants
us
to
a
call
call.
in, call us 424-256-1729
Yeah.
if you're awake, if you're listening.
If you're awake
you're
and
awake.
listening,
Please.
or if you're not listening and you have something to weigh in on with us, please tweet us. You can find me at You Can Call Me Skiff.
I'm at BillyNellis_duh.
Just Mia 23.
Okay,
Yes.
let any
if you're
of us know
listening
at DJ
after
Jesse
we've
J.
gone live, tweet us.
So, John Blackwell is her father.
Okay.
Okay.
Did they actually confirm that
Um,
in the episode? Or are you
they
just reading
haven't,
that on
but
there?
it's in the books.
Okay. Oh,
So-
okay.
And
So
then,
then,
okay.
if you've read the books, then you'll know.
then
that
you'll
it's-
know.
Okay.
If you haven't read the books, that was a spoiler.
Sorry.
Sorry
It was
about that.
coming anyway.
It was coming anyway. John Blackwell is her father.
Our bad.
But I think that's really it with Charles and Dawn this week,
Yeah.
Yeah.
for the most part.
We just also, at the end there, though, I think that Charles is going to get themselves in a little bit of trouble the way
Oh, for sure.
the way
with what
that
he
he's-
left the scarf behind.
Exactly.
He didn't clean up this scene the way he needed to.
or should have,
Right.
or thought he did, for that matter,
Right.
because we see him Cassie finds a scarf, her grandmother's scarf, in the Chamberlain house, and he sort of changed Grandma's memory to believe that she never even went into the house.
Right.
So either Grandma's going to figure out that a spell's been cast on her,
Which hopefully she should. She's
which
an
she
elder,
is an elder,
right?
so she should hopefully be
Hope
like,
so.
all right, something's amiss. Or
Cassie's going to.
Cassie's going to.
Before we leave this topic, real
Yes.
quick, why did he move the guy's body? I still don't understand what was the point behind that besides just causing more mess.
That I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know why he moved the body.
I think it was more along the lines that he.
Panicked?
Well, because Dawn said that she didn't want her kids to find it. Then he said he moved it anyway. So then, yeah, I don't know. It wasn't. He didn't know they were coming yet. So he
I
just.
didn't get it.
Yeah, it didn't make very much
for
sense.
no reason.
Because
I guess.
Dawn wanted him there to look like he had had a heart attack.
Right, and she said in this episode that she wanted the neighbors to find him.
Right, and not the kids.
And not the kids.
But by dumping him in the water, it totally makes it look like a murder.
Well, I think because
Well,
of
right,
that,
and like tying him to the bottom
Right.
of the.
I think
of
at
the
that
dog.
point maybe they hadn't decided that they would change Jane's memory yet, and so they
Right.
needed to do something. I don't know.
Oh, right,
That's
because
smart.
if he didn't get rid of the body and Jane still remembered,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't
Still
know.
not smart.
He's still got,
There's-
he's still got the crystal, so it
there's
still
some
doesn't
loose
make
ends.
much sense.
Yeah, it
He
doesn't.
could have left the body there, and Jane could have just thought she never went in like she thought. So.
Right. Well, as we know with Vampire Diaries, these producers sometimes just, go
Just accept it.
Go along for the ride and just move on with your life. That's sort of how they roll. They'll
Don't
give you
dig
something.
too deep.
Yeah, don't dig too deeply. There's no point. It's never going to be addressed.
This is
No.
true.
Yeah. But on that note, let's move on to Adam and Diana.
Okay.
I'm over it.
Are you over it?
I am.
Really? Tell me why.
Well, it just, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Adam is just scared of change, which is what the girl said.
Diana says that.
And
yeah.
like in the first episode or the second one, like he felt the connection between him and Cassie.
Right.
It was right there. They did magic together. It was larger than he's ever seen before. He felt this urge to kiss her. It's confusing. He's jealous. He just needs to acknowledge that, whether you want to pursue her or not. Acknowledge that there's something there, and I think Diana will respect it a lot more.
Right. But I mean,
really
his
agree
fear
with
is understandable too.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like no one wants that or expects it. I think he doesn't know what to do with
How
it.
to deal with it.
I think he's just a little confused at this point. I mean, we see
Right.
in the episode that he clearly does still love
Of course.
Diana, but I think his love for Diana is more of a friendship love, and he's just not understanding that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That he loves her like a sister,
He just
Which
threw
is
on
gross.
in the
which is
garage
kind of like
table.
gross, but you know what I mean? They had
Right.
they had breakup sex tonight, but ultimately the love is not that type of love.
Right.
I see what
well,
you're
and
saying.
Yeah.
especially because I don't know if it was last week or the week before when he, I think it was 2 weeks ago at the wake when he says to her that you're my only home, like you're the only thing, and
Yeah.
and that just seemed to that sort of transcends like a romantic love because that's not a love you want to risk, and that's like
Right.
a love you want to keep, and I think that hopefully he will be able to come to terms with that it is something that's beyond just being boyfriend and girlfriend, and that he needs to sort of remove himself from that situation so that she can remain his home and be a part of his life.
Right.
That was pretty dope, Billy. That whole that's a love you want to. What is it? A love you want to keep, not a love you want to risk, or something like that. I
Yes.
was like, ooh.
But also at the same time, Diana still loves Adam as well.
Of course.
But during the game of Truth or Dare, we see that she's testing him,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
which personally I don't appreciate.
Not very fair.
Oh.
It's not very fair for anybody to just be playing with other people's emotions as
Yeah.
well as your ex-boyfriends and someone you do still care about.
But was she testing him or proving herself right to him, since to help him move on and realize, listen, I'm not making this up. Like, look at what you just did.
I think it's both, but at the same time, there's an easier and a nicer way
Still a
to
little mean.
go around it.
It is mean. It's
It's
mean.
very mean to dare Cassie to kiss Jake in front of Adam, who you know is going to be
And
uncomfortable
in front
no
of
matter
Faye.
what.
And in front of
totally
Faye.
like rude to your other friend or
Yeah.
Yes.
acquaintance. I don't think they're actually call each other friends, but
Coven
Rude.
member. It is rude.
It's
Coven
rude all
member.
around, Diana.
you go-
Rude all around.
Did you guys think that she almost jumped the gun faster than Faye saying kiss Adam?
Oh.
Could be. She could have been trying to protect
Okay.
herself from watching that happen too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a
That's,
jumble.
yeah,
it's what happens when you
possible.
put 16-year-olds together in alcohol and
Well,
Jake
Jake
is
is
there.
not 16.
right. Well,
Jake is the
the
older
other ones.
brother.
Anyway,
Anyway.
but it was. I do though. I kind of like how at the end Diana is actually being firm though, and
I do
she's
too.
not like going back, and she's not like, even though she is in love, she's not. She's still remaining strong in her resolve to protect herself and her feelings and her heart by saying that I know that there's a confusion in you right now and we can't do this. I
Right.
have to step away for me and for you.
It's the only fair thing to
Right.
do at the end of the day.
Right. And it's like super mature from a girl who was just daring.
Very mature. Very mature. But we've
playing
seen from
games.
previous episodes that Diana seems to be the most level-headed
Yeah.
out of all of them. And
This is true.
being raised only by a father and being the woman of the house, I'm sure that plays into it.
Yeah. I would love to see like Diana sort of let loose. Like
And have a
I-
little
Me
fun.
too.
I want that to come because I feel like she doesn't
Well,
get
we
to.
saw a glimmer of that when
She took a-
she invited Adam over a couple episodes
Oh,
ago,
right.
and they were playing with the strawberries.
True. Yeah,
and
that was fun.
that was fun for her.
No, I think I want
But
to
now
see
that
her on a
she's
pole
single,
for
I
some
wanna-
reason. I don't know.
You want to see her stripping? That's good.
I think when she took her shirt off, I was just like, okay, Diana. It's a little, I wasn't expecting it from you. You're very misconservative, but all
She
right,
is
let's go
very
there. Let's
reserved.
just go all the way.
Yeah.
I want to see single Diana get to have some fun.
I think we will, though.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll be
Not soon. but
anytime soon.
She still has to heal.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she'll get to that point. And I'm excited to see that point come.
Yeah. And speaking of this little triangle that we've created, let's move on to Cassie and Jake,
Yeah.
who really in this episode kind of surprised me a little bit from where the episode started out. Because at the end of last week's episode, Cassie was a little distrustful of Jake in the way that she was talking to him, in the way that she looked at him and didn't believe what he was saying. And we could tell that because she closed the door on his face.
Yeah.
And this week, she wants him
Right.
with her.
Yeah.
Does
And
she, though?
She did, because she brought him over and she was like, the witch hunters attacked him also.
Right.
And we need to protect each other.
And they didn't see. The thing was, I would have believed it if she was keeping him around, like to keep your enemies close.
Right.
But they never sort of gave any clue that that was what she was doing. It was all very straightforward that she just
Exactly.
wanted him there because she trusted him, and it seemed sort of like the mistrust of Jake was transferred to Adam this week.
Right.
And
Yes.
that's who's going to propel the questioning of Jake's motives. So it was a little kind of weird how Cassie did the about face. I'm not so sure that is a natural thing to have happened.
No, not at all.
I don't know. I definitely agree. She was a little bit more inviting for Jake this time around, and I guess I'm trying to figure out if she doesn't trust him or if she's just really protective of herself and her family's powers and all of that because of the speech that her grandmother gave. So I can't figure out which line that is.
And I guess it stands to question is whether what we interpreted last week of her being mistrustful then is what we actually believed it to be, or if she was just being her normally cautious self and she just sort
Yeah.
of got over it. So I think that could be an explanation, but I think the way they played it last week led us to believe that she didn't trust him.
Right.
And
we did see a little glimmer of that this week when they were in the car, and as we see,
She was
Jake
like-
is trying to
he's trying
dig.
too hard.
Yes.
And she did that was like the 1 second where she picked up on it and then she sort of let it go again though.
Right.
Yeah.
When she told him, when he's asked to see the paper again, and she was like, oh, I left that at home.
Or she'll ask like, why do you care? Why do you?
Right, and
Yeah.
he's digging very deeply and intently with intentions of course to figure out who she is. I mean, he's already told the head of the witch hunters that he needs to figure out more about her to see the extent of her powers. And we only saw like a glimmer of her not trusting him, and maybe that does play back to the point where
maybe
her
she's just
grandmother told her
cautious.
to be careful and not to trust anybody.
Right.
That could be it.
Yeah. It is a little frustrating though, because I felt like it
is.
went backwards.
It is,
Yeah.
and then we do see them during the Truth or Dare have a very passionate,
Elongated.
kiss, and then afterwards she's ready to jump his bones,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I didn't understand either. I mean, I understand why she would want to, but as Cassie not trusting anybody, why is she so willing to?
I think that she was just sort of fed up with everybody else in
Yes.
that situation. You know, Diana just used her as this sort of like pawn, and
Right.
Faye was doing that too. And Adam, she really can't go to Adam, and so she was just so frustrated. And obviously, that she just kissed this guy, and it probably was great. And she was like, "I'm so like I have nothing else to do. I'm stuck here, so whatever." And she just like wanted to let it out somehow. So I think that sort of maybe
Yeah.
played into it, that she was like had been pushed to him by everybody else, because everybody else was just kind of screwing with her in
Yeah.
that Truth or Dare situation.
And also earlier on in the episode, we did see Jake tell her that you can do magic alone. You just have to learn how to do it. And
And then
let's
that very sexy,
very
fire
sexy start the
lighting.
fire scene
Yeah,
without any
chanting.
chanting, which I think might be a clue into what is dark magic and what is light magic. Because whenever they're as a group or as a whole, they're chanting, and whenever she's done magic on her own that isn't necessarily on the good side, let's say in quotes, she hasn't had to chant.
Yeah.
It's all been with her mind.
Can't Jake do magic by himself?
He can, but he's not bound to a circle.
He's not. Yeah, that's why he can. Because once the circle's bound, they have to be together. That was the reason. That's why Faye's so angry that they bound the circle, because she
Right.
can't do magic on her own again. And Jake isn't in a circle.
Okay, wait. Okay, so just clarify this to me.
Yes.
So he can do magic because he wasn't bound when they bound the circle.
Correct.
However, because he's
Their magic is connected.
wait, who's his brother? Right. So because the magic's
brother was
connected,
Nick.
he's still he can still fill in for
Right.
Nick.
He can be
He's
part of
still
the
part of the
circle.
lineage.
Yes.
But he wasn't one of the binding members of the circle.
Got it.
So his power isn't bound to it, but he can be used by the circle because he's part of Nick's family.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
And sort of interconnected with our last storyline of this episode, Cassie. Well, I guess we should just jump into it. Faye this week had her own story arc throughout this episode where they're going to her grandfather's house, and as soon as she gets there, she's hearing voices out by the lake. And at first I thought I was going crazy.
Me too. I so thought I was
It
hearing
was
things.
so faint.
It was so faint, and in the distance, I was like, either I'm hearing things, or this is on the TV, but I don't know which one it is, and it's freaking me out.
I love how no one said anything. We all just sat
Nobody
here just
said
like,
anything.
I'm not gonna say a word.
I didn't want to seem crazy
Me neither.
if it wasn't happening from the TV. But lo and behold, it was. And Faye is sort of seeing things throughout the whole episode. We see that she sees like muddy footsteps up the stairs and a pair of red boots covered in
Right.
that are soaking wet, and then she turns
they
around and
disappear.
turns back,
They're
and they
gone.
disappear. She's in the bathtub, and it fills up with seaweed and mud. And outside, she sees this little girl whom Cassie also sees, and who inadvertently ends up saving the day to an extent. And we find out that, well, the children find out that Henry's dead and has been put underneath the docks, hence the name of the episode, Beneath. And Cassie raises him from underneath wherever he was by sticking her hands in the water and doing her own sort of magic. And Faye's like sort of going crazy
She's
Right.
freaking out. She's lost it. She's lost it.
because no one's believing her that she's seeing this. And what we
Right.
find
Well, and she's seeing herself.
Right.
And I mean, that would drive anyone insane if you're seeing, you think you're seeing yourself calling for help at a younger age. I think you would rightfully sort of lose your mind.
right. And they
Yeah.
have been drinking, so everyone's like, oh,
Right.
you know.
And she's been seeing all these other things all day long that have culminated into this vision of her younger self.
Right.
So it's sort of like she's already frayed. She just was screamed at by Cassie, called a bitch. So her emotions are like going haywire.
Yeah.
Plus the booze. And then she sees herself.
herself, which is also the memory of when she almost died.
Right.
Right.
Like,
Linked to this really traumatic event in her childhood. So she's rightfully going crazy.
Yeah.
Rightfully, I mean, she does
Rightfully.
have reason to be going a little nuts. But we find out that from Jake, oddly enough, that Henry wasn't killed the correct way,
Right.
which you would think that
Charles would know.
Charles isn't the one who killed him.
Oh, right,
Dawn
Dawn.
killed him. So you'd think that Dawn, being a wiser witch, I mean, who knows? They never bound their circle, but wiser in quotes, I did, for those of you just listening to us. She would have known how to correctly get rid of him.
Well,
I think she was caught up in the moment, you know, like he was threatening her or discovered something. I can't remember what it was. And she just took matters into her own hands without going through the trouble of getting all that stuff that Jake put in the jar.
Right.
right. And I mean, I just don't think that they were aware of the need to erase his power.
That too.
Interesting.
I just think that that's something that perhaps Dawn and Charles aren't aware of, either how to or the need to.
Right. When getting rid of somebody.
Right.
Getting rid of a witch.
But here's my question for you guys. So they got rid of Henry, and his energy is what was left around and was able to call out to
To Faye.
Faye and then to Cassie, whom sort of is a catapult and has her hand in everything. If they incorrectly got rid of Henry, do you think they also incorrectly got rid of Amelia? And is it possible
Whoa!
for her energy to reach out to Cassie?
It is, but is it
Interesting.
that her energy remains where she remained? Because the grandfather wasn't reaching out to them until they got to his house.
Right.
And so Amelia, if that's how I'm understanding it is correct, then only Amelia's energy would remain where she perished, which would
Right.
be that house that burned. So unless Cassie went back there, I would assume that she couldn't reach out to Cassie. Because Faye's grandfather wasn't reaching them in Chance Harbor. It was only
Right.
when they drove to his house that he was able to do anything, because that's where his body was. So I feel like their energy
Or
remains with their
maybe
body.
he only reached out to her when they got to his house, because that was when
They
He
had
had
an
a
opportunity to
connection,
find his
but-
body.
yeah
I feel like it still has to, there's a proximity to the remains.
it would have to be.
I think yes, that's possible. And I think also it wasn't just about his energy being there. It was if he was just killed, right? His body was, I think because let me get this right in my head. Because his body was hidden, I think that's why his energy reached out to them. So let's say Amelia's stuff is still at the house and Cassie went there for whatever reason. What exactly could it guide her to?
Right.
If the house was burned down, her body's burned down.
Yeah. Because his energy was, no one knew he was dead.
Right.
His energy was working to bring that to light. But Amelia knows that everyone knows she's dead.
Right.
So at this point, I mean, obviously her energy could prove a lot more, like other things, tell stories of the past. But I feel like there was an immediacy towards what Henry's body, his energy needed to do,
Right.
which was, I am here, find me,
Yes.
sort of thing.
But it'll be interesting to know that it might still be possible for Amelia from the grave to be able to reach out to her
Right.
daughter.
And by
totally agree.
extension, also couldn't Nick.
Right.
There's,
I don't think Nick was that powerful though.
he still had power.
He still
and-
had
still had
power.
and energy. So I
This
feel
is
like
interesting.
that would apply to anybody.
Yeah.
Now
so
it just
we'll
matters
see.
if the CW writers are that
Right.
clever.
If they're that clever, or if they even want to go into
there.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they would have to want to go through that storyline, and then that opens up the floodgates,
Yeah.
I think.
Wait, before you change, speaking
Yes.
on that, I'm really now I'm so into Cassie at this point. Like this episode made me like her and really intrigued by her. because this whole dark magic thing, like what is that exactly?
Right.
What does that mean? How is she able to tap into it? Will she learn more about it? Is that why she was able to see Faye's little childhood ghost?
I think it's just like a different side of her that no one else in her circle has.
Right.
Because of whom her father is and his lineage. And she just happens to have that extra intuition to be able to tap into everybody's, including her own.
Right.
And is it just a dark magic, or is it that the whole Blake witch line goes
So
back
far
to the
back.
beginning?
Right.
I
There's
mean,
extra power.
that's what
so I think
Jake
that's.
was.
I think that more than it being dark magic, it's that it's old magic.
Right, and I think that's what Jake was trying to get into, because he asked her, her grandmother told her that their line can be traced back to the beginning of magic, and Jake said mother's side or father's side.
Because he wants to know if it's the dark side that's the oldest or the light side
Right,
that's the oldest.
because that would make it stronger. If the light side is the oldest, she'll be stronger
on her light
side. But if it's the dark magic,
She's stronger
then
in
it's
dark.
stronger dark. And he did say that her power is something that he's never come across before. And he still needs
In
to,
all his years of living.
in all his years of living. I think he's lived a lot more than we know. Beyond his age.
Beyond his age.
Yes, I think he's experienced much more than they're letting us know at the moment. And he does say that there is something else about Cassie that he's still trying to figure out.
Whether or not he likes her? No,
I think that
think it's
might
part
be
of it.
that's
Whether or not
partly
he
that,
wants
whether or
to-
not he wants to stay with them and be part of their circle and be with her, or if it's also something else about her history.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things where, for me, I think Jake is at this point teetering
Yeah.
yeah. I agree.
Definitely.
with whose side he's on, because he's playing both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
Speaking on Jake, I don't know if I'm sorry. This is the last thing
No,
I'm saying.
please do.
I don't know if it bothers anyone else, but they always do this in television shows and movies. There's always this powerful being, right? Like he's a witch. He's powerful.
Yes.
He can still do magic by himself. Yeah, he's taking orders from a normal human being.
From a mortal.
I don't get.
Well,
I
his
don't get
his
that.
reasoning, I mean, for Jake, it was explained that he lost his family to the witches and to magic. His parents were killed in the boathouse accident 16 years ago. His brother is now dead. And so he explained that too when in their speaking. They illuminated that that's why he's working with them, because he wants to get rid of the witches because the witches took his family from him.
Right, I get that
And
part.
I feel like he can't do it alone. He needed to team up with the witch hunters.
But then at the same time, to agree with you, he is the one who showed them how to get rid of the witches more effectively.
I mean,
So
like if
in
I'm
essence, he doesn't really need their help. He can do it on his own if he wants to, because he was able to get rid of the antiquities owner last week on his own, and they didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
and maybe he just wanted more bodies, but I'm like, if I'm a witch and you guys are witch hunters and you can't do this without me, I'm gonna be like, look, here's how we do it. You're gonna do it by my terms. When I say go, blah 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 blah. Like I'm not gonna take orders from or mortal when I
Yeah.
can say some
True.
words and you'll be dead.
It's very, very true. And we did see this week that they had to go underground,
Yeah.
whatever that means, but are in hiding,
Right.
I guess.
I don't think they're like in tunnels. I think they're just they left town.
They're in the sewers.
They've burrowed
living. They're
deep.
literally under a bridge.
Yeah.
When he said that. But that it pretty much wraps up the entire episode. Was there anything else about the episode that you guys wanted to discuss?
No,
that
I
we
think that
didn't touch
covered
upon?
it for me.
No, I would like to see. I want to see an arc for Faye. I really liked her having a storyline, and I
Yeah.
just want to see more to her character, I guess.
Yeah.
I enjoyed seeing her this week get upset and be
Yeah.
a real girl.
Yeah.
And not be this like stone cold bitch that
And
she's
I
been.
wanna keep
yeah,
it
and
going.
I think that with her mom being Dawn, I think that she's gonna become more integral to the plot because there's gonna be some struggle with her
Yeah.
trying to come to terms with what her mother's doing. So I do think she's gonna be more central.
Oh, the one thing that we didn't even discuss was Melissa's absence.
Right. So bizarre.
So
Out
bizarre.
Of town.
She just happens to be out of town. Her mother took her out of town after Nick's death. I sort of have a prediction about this, but I guess we can get to that in predictions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's cut to a commercial break and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Sounds good.
The biggest new media platform on the web just got bigger. More bandwidth, smoother streaming, lightning fast download.
Don't get technical with me.
AfterBuzz TV is making the jump to hyperspace. Join the fun at your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Look at the size of that thing.
AfterBuzz TV.
Welcome back, everybody.
Buzzy the AfterBuzz.
What the hell?
Oh, that was cool.
It was telling me to get back on topic, but I think that was
An accident?
an accident.
A little blooper?
I let the bee out of the hive.
Well, unfortunately, this week my special segment got kiboshed because the printer didn't print out what I wanted it to print, but we'll get to it next
We'll
week.
save it for next week for our big mid-season finale.
Yes, we'll
show.
save it for next
Mid-season.
week. Big season, mid-season finale. But let's jump over to DJ Jesse Janity in the booth with news and gossip, hopefully.
Hey, DJ Jesse Kennedy.
AfterBuzz TV News.
All right, so Charles is power hungry. Ever since Charles killed Nick, he's been a changed man. His hair is even more middle parted than usual.
Glad they
right.
cut on that.
Great observation.
It seems like there might be some love in that black heart of his. Does Charles care more about his quest for power or his family? I think it's probably power first because that will ultimately give him the power to protect Diana, Charles tells TV Fanatic.
Right.
Oh,
I can see that.
interesting.
I think Diana's really important to him.
Dan is very important to him, and I think that at the end of the day, that's his driving force, is to protect his daughter. His daughter.
So just to touch on John Blackwell a little more.
Okay.
The show has offered up little hints on where dark magic came from in the form of the name John Blackwell. What can you tell us of her search for who John Blackwell is and her connection to him? Robertson replied.
Britt Robertson.
Yes. A lot of people know if they've read the books. John Blackwell, JB, is her father. Editors note the character in the novels was named Black John. The only information that she has about him at this point is that he's dead. She'll try to go to her grandmother to figure it out, which is an epic part of the next episode. Her grandmother went to the lake house, and now Cassie has all this new information. The witch hunters came after them, so her gut instinct is to try to find her grandmother, of course, to see what she knows.
I was sort of alluding to what happened in this week's episode.
Yeah.
Right. But so
Um,
next week we'll find out a little more about Sir John Blackwell.
It's interesting
John.
that they changed his name from Black
Black
John
John.
to John Blackwell.
Black John sounds so bizarre. It sounds like a serial killer's like pretend name or something.
It does. I think also they changed it so that we wouldn't immediately think that he's evil.
Yeah.
Oh.
It just
before
reminds me
revealing
of
that he's her father.
because I don't know if either of you've ever watched the show The Mentalist on CBS,
Yes.
but
Couple
like
times.
the main like Patrick Jane, the main character, he's like hunting this person named Red John, and that's like the main like this elusive serial killer. So that just instantly I think of this guy who kills people because Red John and Black John are very similar.
Very similar.
Yeah.
So
I can
I'm
see
glad
that.
they changed that.
So Britt Robertson also made these two statements. This dark magic thing is going to stick around for a while, a little while, and the audience is going to see her deal with it more and more. Especially with the next episode, you'll get to see how strong it really is and how powerful she can be.
Nice.
She has this dark magic that she doesn't even know where it came from, but the audience will get to learn more about it and where it actually did come from. It'll be fun to watch. So is the reason Cassie is hot for Jake because maybe he's full of dark magic too? There's the attraction factor, but mostly it's just that he seems to be well informed. He seems to know about dark magic, and he's the one willing to tell her or help her with it. She needs him right now as a friend, but more than that, he's someone who can help her through this new journey that she's on. Through that, she obviously becomes attracted to him because he's, well, a good-looking guy. He's great with her. They have a good time together, yada, yada, yada. She's blinded, but the Coven doesn't stay naive for long. They'll find out what he's up to sooner rather than later.
Good.
Now that Jake strutted into town with his chin dimpled and raging hormones, will Cassie find the time to sexplode light bulbs with Adam?
What?
When they first made out, all the light bulbs.
Oh, right.
It's a storyline that will be dragged out until the end of time. The relationship between Diana and Cassie is something that Cassie values more than anything, more than this crazy feeling towards Adam. Until the Adam-Diana thing is completely fades away, or until it has become something that is not a threat to Cassie and Diana's relationship or friendship. I don't think you'll see much of Cassie and Adam, though there will be a few things here and there that will hint otherwise.
Okay.
And that's your news and gossip.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's some good stuff there.
Yeah.
Was.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. Predictions.
All right. So what did we see? We saw in the teaser. It looks like Homecoming to me.
Yeah.
Because they're doing the same thing on Vampire Diaries.
Yes.
And we know that it's the same producers.
Yeah. Cutting us off.
Cutting us off so quickly.
Just done.
Just done. We're finished.
The cutoff song.
And that's a wrap.
So it looks like it's Homecoming, which is, I think, a great way to have your mid-season finale. I think it's a great way to bring everybody back together and just have everybody in the same room. It sounded like Adam shouting, "Jake is a witch hunter."
Yes.
So it looks like the circle's gonna find out that he's a witch hunter.
Yeah.
But here's my question to you guys: do you think that Jake is going to choose a side by the end of next week's episode? Being the circle side or the witch hunter side?
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna definitively choose by next week. Do you?
I think he may lean more on one side. I don't know if he will choose.
Firmly choose?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, really, the only thing that it's really only whether he's gonna flip, because at this point it seems like it's really whether we'll see him firmly flip or not.
Right.
I think I don't know. I don't know if it'll happen yet. For some reason, I feel like it might be like cliffhanger or something
Okay.
to leave us wondering. Because we'll have to be one left.
Well, there'll have to be
something.
something. There needs to be a cliffhanger.
Well, I feel like the black magic thing. Well, never mind, because he said they're going to drag that out through the whole.
Yeah.
So maybe not, because I was thinking that the discovery of whatever.
So
her father is.
I think either that or somebody's life will be left in peril as a cliffhanger. One of the two.
On that note, I think because Melissa wasn't in this week's episode, and she so mysteriously had to go to her away out of town with her mother, and we know that her cousin is being introduced into the season. We didn't see him yet so far,
but we've heard.
But we know he's already been cast, and they've already started shooting his scenes and everything like that. I think she is going to be the next character in the circle to be offed.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my 2 cents with that.
Okay.
I totally see where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Although there was no purpose for her in this episode with the storyline that they had, because that whole.
But there could have been, is my thing. They proved already that the circle can survive without Nick.
Yeah, but I mean, they had that whole love thing going on and jealousy, and Melissa's not into anyone there.
Exactly, so they can get rid of her.
She's completely expendable.
She's at this point, she has no purpose. She wasn't even.
No,
No. But that's what that's what I'm saying. Like if she didn't have a purpose in this episode, what's to say she has a purpose in the rest of the series?
Yeah.
I just don't want her to go.
I'm not saying
She's
that
the
I
only
want
black
her
girl.
to go. She is the only black girl I know.
I just want to keep her for that.
Well, I mean, it stands
reason.
to reason her cousin will probably be black.
He is
too.
black.
So he's going to replace one with another.
He's an actor that was from American Dreams.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. But he is black.
Yeah, I do think they sort of painted that character into a corner by choosing to get rid of Nick, because beyond her friendship
That's
to
true.
Faye, she really has no relevance to the story any longer.
She has no other ties to any of the other characters.
So there is an opportunity if they do want to do a shakeup and shock us by killing another member. She's the only one that I think would shock you, but it wouldn't take anything away from the story
Right.
either. So I feel like if the producers are out to do that, that's who they would do it to, because it's somebody who is a main character but is so peripheral to the story that
Yeah.
it wouldn't like rip the show apart
Right.
so early on.
And we've already seen that not having Nick
Did really nothing.
is not a problem.
Yeah.
I don't like that you guys are proving a point because I don't want to know.
Well, we'll see, I guess.
We will see. And on that note, I think we should say goodbye.
Yes.
Till next week, our mid-season
Bye.
finale.
Yes.
So everyone here, the AfterBuzz TV studios, myself, DJ Jesse Janity, Billy Nellis, Mia Smith.
You sound so sweet over there.
Have a wonderful night, and we hope to see you again next week.
Good night.
Good night.
You're my
From producers Kevin Undergaro and Phil Svitek, engineer DJ Jesse Janity, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. If you have questions or comments, be sure to buzz us at info@AfterBuzzTV.com. And you can find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
Cause you're running around.
Those are those solely do not necessarily reflect views